Well, I also can't believe that Lamar Jackson is getting buck with the Baltimore Ravens. He officially gave the Baltimore Ravens a deadline. Y'all know they're in contract negotiations for $250 million, the largest contract in the history of the sport that literally owns 1 day a week. Several days now. Well, Lamar Jackson, he wants roughly $250 million, and he said, look, when the season starts, week 1, September 11th, I'm no longer negotiating. We made fun of Lamar Jackson because he's repped by his mom. Doesn't sound great in theory, but whether intentional or incidental, Lamar Jackson and the Jackson family are using the greatest tactics in negotiation. Number 1, you have to make it seem like it's urgent, like the deal is going to expire. And number 2, you got to make it seem like they're getting a good deal. And Lamar Jackson, that man who's just so fast you can hardly see him, he's doing everything that needs to be done in order to get the money that he wants to get. So I love that Lamar Jackson is giving the Ravens a deadline. But I got to talk to the squad at the desk, the most esteemed panel in all of sports television. That's Dave Helman, NFL insider. My guy, don't leave me hanging or I will fight you. Joy Taylor, co-host of The Herd, but Colin was a little jealous. I stole you for the day. And Bucky Brooks, the one and only. I heard you call the Jags game phenomenal job this weekend. Bucky, let me start with you then, big dog. Do you like Lamar Jackson giving the Ravens a deadline?
Absolutely. Deals don't get done until you set parameters on when it has to be done by. When you put a deadline on it, now you put pressure to make it happen. And so when I think about Lamar Jackson heading to the regular season, no. I'm not playing in the regular season without a new deal. And better yet, I'm not going to negotiate in the regular season. When I think about Lamar Jackson and what he's already accomplished in this league, we're looking at 2 young guys who've been paid recently. Josh Allen, Deshaun Watson. By all accounts, Lamar Jackson is like, oh, I'm more accomplished than both of those guys. I have an MVP, which Josh Allen doesn't have. I have more wins and more notable individual accomplishments than Deshaun Watson. What are we talking about? Let's get to the table. We know what the money is. It's going to be 45 plus. It may creep up to $50 million. Let's get it. I don't know what we're waiting on. So Lamar Jackson knows he has that. He also knows that franchise tag plus the second tag, we're talking about $100 million guaranteed at the minimum over 2 years. So how do you want to play this? Either way, you're going to pay me big money, so let's get it done.
Show me the money. Joy Taylor, what you thinking?
I like that he's putting a deadline on it as well for multiple reasons. One, he is negotiating it himself with his mother, so he can only negotiate with the GM of the Ravens, and that is something that you don't want to be doing once the season starts. Now, this is why you would have an agent so they can continue negotiating on your behalf, but this is the path that he's chosen, and that's his prerogative. I wouldn't do it this way. I have an agent. I like having an agent. I don't want to be in the room when people tell me what I'm not good at. Let them tell somebody else that. But there are also benefits to having an agent, like they can negotiate when you're supposed to be focused on what you should be focusing on, which is football. So, one, this takes away the distraction from Lamar Jackson. People like us who are talking about his contract won't be able to point to it and say, well, he's struggling because he's negotiating a contract. No, I'm not. It stops once the season starts. To Bucky's point, he's going to get paid regardless. And when you look at the numbers in comparison to the guys who have recently been paid, he absolutely deserves to be paid in that space. That said, obviously, we're pointing to the Deshaun Watson contract, which we imagined was going to blow the market up because Deshaun hadn't played for a year. And as a reminder, they paid him that in the midst of this controversy that's happening now. So when this first happened, that was my initial thought. Well, if I'm, Lamar Jackson, if I'm Kyler Murray, if I'm any of these guys, Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow, any of these guys that are going to come through the ranks of getting paid next, that's the standard because I don't have 25 lawsuits for sexual misconduct. I have played. I have contributed. There are no questions about what I'm going to bring right away because I'm already doing it. The only issue is it's the Cleveland Browns, and nobody wants to do business like the Cleveland Browns, particularly the Baltimore Ravens, who, the owner, Steve Bisciotti, spoke about that contract and not liking the Deshaun Watson contract. But when you look at the numbers and his accomplishments, and everyone's going to point to the playoffs, they're comparable to all these guys.
I'm glad you used the word distraction. Dave, you have to deal with distractions for countless teams, being an insider, being a guy in the locker room. I think that Lamar Jackson's deal is going to be a distraction whether it gets done or it does not get done. Because if it doesn't get done, a guy like you has a notepad in the locker room?
A guy like me.
Sitting in front of
not
Lamar.
everybody. It's just me. It's
just you.
Okay, cool.
Sitting in front of Lamar Jackson saying, now Lamar, you didn't get the deal done. I feel like either way it's a distraction. Where do you stand? Don't you think that whether he quiets all the noise, it's a distraction either way?
Of course it's a distraction either way, and I think Bucky and Joy make the two big points. Number one, deadlines make deals. So you set a deadline to get something done. But what sounds like a bigger distraction to you? The money hanging over it, or if he takes this thing into the season? I can't say I've ever seen anything like that. Like, just imagine a world where every good Lamar Jackson game, we're up here like, price of the brick just went up, man. Like, he just threw for 380 and 4 touchdowns. And then every time he lays an egg, we're back here again saying, 250 mil, huh? That's what you want, Lamar Jackson? Like, every single week, up and down we go. That is a distraction, is every single game the narrative changes about what he's worth. So, yeah, get a deal if you can before the season starts. But after that, he's making $23 million this year. He doesn't, quote-unquote, need the money right now. Just take it into the season, because I think the last thing you want is the narrative of his worth changing every time the Ravens win or lose a game.
I will say this. I love how Lamar Jackson has played it. Bucky, I don't know if it's been intentional. I don't care. Sometimes it's better to be lucky than good. I don't care how he's done it. I like that he's done it. I think about this. Whether you're scrolling Instagram, TikTok, Twitter, whatever you're scrolling, Joy, whenever you see these annoying ads pop up on your page, they do two things. They instantly say flash discount, and they say order within 24 hours and you get blank. They're trying to convince you of two things. One, urgency. Order it right now. And two, you're getting a good deal. That's negotiation one-on-one, is trying to convince you of the urgency and the necessity of the bargain of something. Lamar Jackson, Bucky, has convinced the Ravens that it's imperative they do it by a certain date and that they're getting a good deal. Are the Ravens getting a good deal?
Oh, they are getting a good deal because the market never goes down. And I think here's what we're seeing.
Thank you, Bucky.
Because,
where were you last
week?
Look,
and I think the best thing that ever happened, Dak Prescott. See, because you know what the narrative was with Dak Prescott? Oh my God, he better get this deal done. Oh my God, if he goes out there and gets hurt, he's not gonna get his money. But guess what? He got hurt and he got his money. And so what Steve Bisciotti should learn from Jerry Jones is, I don't want to pay that rate right now. I don't want to pay $30 million. No, I don't want to pay $33 million because I don't know if he's worth it. Okay, we'll just keep playing this out. So now you end up paying $40 million plus anyway. So it's better to overpay him sooner rather than later, because either way you're going to overpay because it's a quarterback. So you might as well give him his bread now, because if not, he's going to be a $50 million guy, and all of us going to be up here screaming, I can't believe Lamar Jackson got $50 million annually. But he's going to get it one way or the other.
I love your point. I love your point. So much to dive in on there.